Evening and a warm welcome to Breathe Sports' first ever live show. 60 minutes of feisty football debate to look forward to, I'm sure, in the company of four fine chatters. Gary Lineker.
Back on it.
In the wrong chair, clearly. Ian Wright. Phil Neville and Robbie Savage. Lots and lots to discuss. A few contentious issues, which we have established shortly. Yes, exactly. But a debate and, of course, many of your questions to get in. But let's get started, shall we? Right, let's get our hands dirty. And that, of course, means FIFA. We should start at the top, if in fact that is still the top of football. I suppose it's the world governing body, Gary. You, like many others, have had one or two things to say via the app and obviously elsewhere. You could get depressed, couldn't you, thinking too much about what's gone on in the last week?
Well, I do get depressed.
Do you?
It's a terribly sad situation. I think it's nauseating that a game as great as ours, that so many people right around the world care about so deeply, that it's run by a bunch of shenanigans, and it's clearly corrupt. We've already had lots of people not just indicted but arrested and thrown out of FIFA, etc., and it just keeps going. And I suppose there's every chance that it'll end up right at the top.
There was a moment, wasn't there, or perhaps an hour or two last week, where everyone got hopeful about the possibility of change and renewal.
Yeah, but I think that's because, and Sepp Blatter is always so confident because he knows exactly what's happening with him. Everybody's thinking that something was going to change, and you know, Prince Ali and all that stuff. But when you look at how it did pan out, it was ridiculous in the end. You know what I mean? And now he's been voted in by such a margin as well. That just says to me, he's got all the people that he needs locked off. So he's comfortable with everything what's going on, and he's there for now for 4 years, and no one could do anything about it. With everything what's gone on, it seems just so wrong.
Do we have to accept the status quo, do you think, Phil? Is it just a fait accompli? There's been talk of boycotts and UEFA-led breakaways.
I've seen the I don't think there'll be boycotts, because I think if sponsors pull out, there'll be other sponsors that go in. I think if, from a player's point of view, and that's what I've looked at for the last week, I don't think players actually will probably take care of what's actually been going on, because as players you want to go to the World Cup. So is a player going to say, I'm not going to a World Cup because you're going to be backed by the rest of the European or the world nations? I don't think that will be the case. Supporters want to go, so our supporters are going to boycott it. So it's a situation where it's actually government level. This is above and beyond actual players and supporters. This goes beyond that. So it's not a nice situation, and it's something that I think UEFA and have got to fight hard for. But I think it's a battle maybe that we can't win, because he's so powerful. You saw by his speech at the end, he was so confident and cocky that he said trust and confidence. Well, we don't have trust or confidence in him, but he seems to have it in himself.
Do you share that sense of disillusionment, Rob?
Yeah, I agree with the lads. What more can I say on that, really?
I think there are two ways it can change. Two. One is if Blatter gets indicted along with the rest, then things would substantially change. Yeah. And the other is if the major federations of world football got together and said, actually, we've had enough of this. Yeah. Now, whether that will happen or not, I'd rather doubt, but you've got UEFA rebelling. So possibly if you could get some of the big nations of European football and add to that, certainly the Americans would join in, and from the other side maybe Australia, and then if you could get one or two of the big South Americans, then all of a sudden you can go, we'll do our own, we'll start again.
It's all the people that have had bids, so it's all like sour grapes. This is what they're saying. It's all sour grapes, because it is the people.
It's just corruption. So
it's one of those that how do you get by it then? He's still in there.
Yeah. When we read in the last couple of days that France, Spain, and perhaps less surprisingly Russia all voted for Blatter in that election, you wonder about how cohesive the European countries could be.
It's Platini, and he comes out and makes a statement saying he's against FIFA, and his nation is actually voting for FIFA for Sepp Blatter. So it worries you a little bit. But I think I was on a show on Friday where an FBI agent was on there, and they said that the Americans aren't going to let go of this. They're going to go right from the bottom right to the very top. So you hope that eventually you build up a crescendo and you indict him, and hopefully he'll be got rid of.
Do you remain optimistic of even a possibility that this could come good in the end? Because I've kind of lost hope a little bit in the last couple of days.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you're getting to a stage where 7 of them were indicted, taken away. and they were the 7 pretty much just below Blatter. So, this is a serious situation, which will take time, I'm sure, with the investigations that will be ongoing. So, I've certainly not lost hope. I always knew Blatter was going to win this election. That was an absolute no-brainer. That was always going to happen. That's kind of a relevant side. This is a longer, ongoing thing, and the trail could lead to him in the end. One of them might squeal as well, of course.
Yeah, fingers crossed. From looking back to something we wished was different to looking forward perhaps to something I think we're all relishing, and that's this Saturday and the Champions League final.
Yeah.
And the little fella.
The best in the world by far for me. No one even comes close.
Interesting you should say that, Ian.
Neymar, yeah.
Neymar,
only because he's
player.
on the same pitch, same team. But I just think that even when you watch the other day, the fan who taped it from his perspective, and when you watch it, it felt like he's in there. He is pretty amazing. I remember watching Maradona when I was younger, and I thought that he was the best thing, and I still really do like Maradona as the top man, but
Ronaldo?
Messi's not having Ronaldo.
Is Ronaldo on the same planet as him?
No, he's not on the same planet.
Not the same planet?
Nope.
So they're miles apart?
Yeah, I think so.
As footballers, I don't think there's a comparison.
No comparison?
For me,
61 goals this year, Ronaldo.
But he's a goal scorer. There's no question about that. But he's not. He doesn't fill you with joy like Messi does, and that's what it's about. I mean, he's glorious, Messi. He scores unbelievable goals. Ronaldo might hit it a bit harder. He takes a lot of penalties quite well, but it's not the same league.
I'm sensing a split here, just a slight
This
split.
could last an hour, this debate.
I think Ronaldo is very close to Messi. You can't say he's not on the same planet, surely. I think there's under Messi and Ronaldo, there's like Suarez, that's out of play. Neymar, yeah, but
Bale.
not on the same planet.
Robin. No.
Robin.
I don't think there's far apart. I think without Ronaldo, Messi wouldn't be as good. Without Messi, Ronaldo wouldn't be as good.
You think they drive each other on?
I think they drive each other on. I think the 50, 60 goals. I think
Messi's
I think
team
with one of
drives
them, maybe it would be 40 or 50. Now with both of them, it's took up to 60. I really.
Who's the
I
best
don't
player in
think
the world
there's-
at the minute? Who got the Ballon d'Or?
It's Ronaldo.
Ronaldo,
Who scored the most goals in La Liga this year?
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
So that's it then.
So
Who's
So
playing on
what?
Saturday?
Exactly. Exactly. A great team
You
playing
can't
on
say not the
Saturday.
same
An individual won those things, and you can see that speech. What was that about? His speech with the massive roar at the end. What's he doing?
Messi plays in
It's
a
all
far
about
better
him.
team.
He's got character. Right, you was one player that played with character and emotion.
About
He's
the
got the
team
same.
again. I'm not sure.
Messi plays in a
you
far
look at when,
better team.
you look at him when his teammates score. He's gutted. He's absolutely gutted.
He's not.
Until he scores, that's the only time he comes to
driven
life.
to be the best.
They're very similar in terms of the amount of goals they score.
Yeah.
The record compare. Messi is a significantly better passer and more generous passer than Ronaldo, unquestionably. Messi is significantly better dribbler than Ronaldo.
Who's better in the air?
Ronaldo's better
Who's
in the
better
air.
set
Great.
pieces?
Left foot, right foot.
Messi.
Who's got
What? Messi's better than Ronaldo.
Ronaldo has
set
not scored
pieces.
one free kick this season. Messi's had about
Ronaldo's far
5.
better set pieces.
He's not right
Can you
foot.
honestly
What?
say
You
Messi?
really
How
saying
can you
that?
say Messi in the Ronaldo Messi in the air? That's ridiculous. That one.
Why is it?
Because he
football
because
as
he's
well.
got
That's
7 inches taller than him.
only in English football will be saying
Kenny's
that.
going through what Messi's better at. Well, I'm going through Ronaldo's better.
but he's naturally
Who's
taller.
quicker? Who's quicker?
Yeah.
Not much in it.
Ronaldo's quicker. I would have thought.
Not with a ball.
Right foot, left foot combined. Ronaldo for me. I only see Messi the ball stuck to his left foot, but does he use both feet like Ronaldo?
Yeah, he didn't against Bayern Munich when he chipped that one over the keeper.
One goal.
Please join us next week when we'll still be talking about this debate. Messi or Maradona, Gary?
Well, I never ever thought I'd say that there was a player better than Maradona because it was my time, and I was just totally in awe of him. But I honestly think, for a number of reasons, that Messi has surpassed him. He can do anything that Maradona did and does it more frequently.
It's just a World Cup
and
thing.
more that's the only possible argument against him, really. But the Champions League now, all the best players are in the world are in the Champions League, so it's not that much different. He took them to the final, and he didn't have his best year last year. He was clearly struggling with his hamstrings. He wasn't fully fit, but he's back to his best now. I didn't think I'd say this, but I think Messi's better than overall, and he'll have greater longevity because obviously
He's 27
Maradona's
now, isn't he?
off-field problems.
So by the time he's finished,
He'd pretty much had it by now.
yes,
Diego, hadn't he?
yeah. On the subject of the Champions League, but with perhaps a more parochial twist, it's been a poor season for Premier League clubs in both European competitions. Lawrence has posted, fellas, via the app, what do English clubs need to do to compete with Barca, Real and Bayern? Robbie?
By Ronaldo. Oh, Messi. I think
they've tried.
I think without the ball, I think that semi-final between Barca and Bayern, without the ball, was just unbelievable. It was 0-0 for the long periods, and then obviously Messi was incredible.
So is that a long way away from where
I think without the ball, it was just incredible without the ball, the way they worked so hard.
I think that, people could say how far away we are in our league, how great our league is, and I still think it's a greatly very entertaining league. But I can't remember the last time an English team even got to the final and were brilliant. They always scraped through to the final and won on penalties or something like that. It's not like they've gone there and they've dominated all the way through the group stages, got to the semi-finals, won comfortably and done. They've always scraped through like that. So we're always behind them to a certain extent. And it's the Bayern Munich for me, and obviously Barcelona, Real Madrid. We're always just a little bit behind them. And when we do get amongst them, it's penalties or they have an off day. For me, I think we are behind them. It's just got a very entertaining league.
Are they catchable then, Phil? These breakaway, brilliant.
Well, I think we're actually a fair bit behind at the moment, but I think it goes in cycles. I think English clubs, Chelsea, United, Liverpool. I think we were in a period maybe 5-6 years ago where we're getting to finals and semi-finals regularly. But I think over the last couple of years, we've seen Bale, we've seen Suarez leave, and that's 2 world-class players leave our league. We've got to stop our world-class players leaving our league. I think that's why the quality in our league has dropped a little bit, and I think the standard has dropped compared to the top teams in Spain, especially, and Munich. So we need to get these players back to lift the standard of our league again, and that for me is the key. The best players need to come back to the Premier League. We've got the money.
I was going to say, if we can't afford them now, when can we?
Well, it's difficult. The pull of Barcelona and Real Madrid that's the place every player wants to play. That is the pinnacle. And if you are a great player, you want to go and play for those clubs, and that will not change. It's not really a question of how much you pay them, because they get paid however much they want, wherever they want to. They just want to play there.
Is it football? Is it lifestyle now?
It's a mixture of the whole thing, and it's the historical significance of those clubs. That's where the great players, over a period of time, have played. There was a period when they went to Italy as well, but that sort of went away. But so you're up against that. So realistically, we're going to always be a little bit behind those 2 clubs, and then it's which league can compete at any given stage. Now, I don't think Chelsea are that far off, and Jose's clever enough. 1 or 2 players addition there. I think the others are. I think they're a long way off challenging Champions League. I mean, you can get lucky and scramble your way through, like Ian said, which is pretty much what we've done in recent years, and had a bit of success doing that. But in the terms of the glory and the style and the beautiful football that the likes of Barca and Real Madrid and at times Bayern Munich play, we're behind.
Given that point then, the magnet that's being lured possibly in front of David De Gea at the moment, will that be another loss to the Premier League this summer, Phil?
I can't see for the life of me how he's going to stay at Man United, because like Gary said, he's actually Spanish. So his dream, just like it was Ronaldo's dream and Gabriel Heinz said, they just want to go and play for Real Madrid. It's Latin, it's one of the biggest clubs in the world. So if United keep hold of him, it'll be a miracle. But I still think we can be attracting more players, better players with the money that we've got in our league. I think in Europe this season, City have been found out, one by quality and by tactically, I think they've been poor. Arsenal always fall at that quarter-final stage every season. They always do well, last 16. But they're getting better. So in terms of the next step for Arsenal is 2 or 3 more players. Every team for me needs 2 or 3 more players
we
of
don't
quality.
Help ourselves either, do we?
We don't.
The amount of fixtures, especially over that period, just before the knockout stage of the Champions League, you go the madness of Christmas and that period there. And then you've got the FA Cup starts, so you've got replays, and the Capital One, the final stages, which invariably has the big teams
the 2 legs.
So just as you go into February, everyone's shattered. Everyone else has had a nice winter break, at least 2 or 3 weeks off. And we come in there, and you could see Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain. They don't have any legs. No legs. Just an off day. They're a better side than Paris Saint-Germain.
Certainly, to judge from the end of season awards, your old club are on the up. The manager certainly had a good night. I think Louis let his hair down.
Takes some doing, let that hair down.
Well, indeed, it took a week to pick it up. But I think he's settled in nicely. And Phil, you've certainly, from the comments you've made via the app, feel that the club's on the up once again. You're not necessarily backed by the panel entirely. Robbie as another ex-United player, felt slightly differently, didn't you?
Reserve team player, I would say. I wouldn't say ex-United player.
Launchpad.
Yeah, correct.
Launchpad.
Yeah, I just think that
finishing fourth was as if a league win
as Phil alluded to on that, said job done, fourth.
Yeah.
Really? They had 60.
That's what they wanted at the start of the season.
It's my answer, right?
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
62 points last year, 150 million spent on top players, and they get 8 more points this season. Job done, fourth. Well, they could get Lazio. They could get some decent teams in that qualify. If they don't qualify for that Champions League, is that job done? I don't think it is. They could get because they'll be seeded. There's a first qualifying round, and United are in the second qualifying round. Lazio, who beat Napoli last night, now they could beat them. They could beat Monaco, who beat Arsenal. So Fenerbahce, one of the I think CSK Moscow. So let's not take for granted. I hope United are in the Champions League, but fourth, United a job done. I can't believe. That was probably your fault from you and Moisey there.
I speak from experience. I was unfortunate enough to be in the job the year before as a coach, so I realised the job that needed to be done. And people say he spent 150 million. Well, I actually think it needs another 100 million this year. I think the job was that big, the rebuilding job was that big, because all them old players leaving, retiring, Sir Alex Ferguson leaving, the transitional year under David Moyes. Poor coaching. Ronaldo for me.
Saying that, Fellaini and Mata have been two of Van Gaal's best players this year.
It was the biggest rebuilding job for a long time, and I actually thought the start of the season to go from 7th to then winning the title for me was impossible. It was a small step. Get into the Champions League. This year I think is when Van Gaal will be judged. I feel this season as if he's succeed in terms of them 4 games as Liverpool, City, Villa, Tottenham. Yeah. That's when he really produced. But apart from that, they've actually been pretty average. But the supporters will want more next year.
Ian, do you share that view that there's still a fair way to go? And if so, how do you spend that kind of money?
Yeah, I think there's still a fair way to go, especially when I feel that De Gea will definitely leave. Who they're going to replace him with? I think they need 2 centre halves without a shadow of a doubt, because I'm not sure that Phil Jones and Smalling are going to be able to play at the level. Unfortunately, that Man United are going to need to kick on to actually win the Premier League. I think they're going to need another forward. Don't know what's happening with Robin van Persie, and I don't know. When you watch some of the times that they were playing with, how they were playing at the back, it didn't work out. He's meant to be this great coach, and then they were, like you say, they were average for a lot of time. I still look at Man United and still think, okay, they finished in the top 4, but it's because the rest of the other teams are not as good and nowhere near as good. And Man United should have finished in the top 4, but I still think it's a good job simply because of what's happened at Man United, and we have to see who they buy in the summer. But
I think the league surprised Van Gaal. I think the league surprised him. Going to these teams that he thinks, I'll just roll over. I think they got caught out. I think he was surprised with the intensity and playing over that Christmas period. I think it took a lot out of him. So he'll be better for it next year. He struggled with his system early on, trying to fit all the players into the system, 3 at the back, the diamonds. So I think he'll be better off for his first year. History tells you that he does win trophies, so I think that's what all Man United fans are hoping for.
Not everything worked. Obviously, Di Maria, that doesn't look like it's going to work out. Falcao came and went.
Well, it's often the way. You can never be sure how players are going to adapt. It often takes them a season or so to get the very best.
Can I just throw that in?
I absolutely agree with you. I said that's why you can never be sure.
That's a good shout. I just jumped in.
Some do, some don't. Some quickly, some never do. So it's all. I understand there's going to be a hell of a lot of movement on Old Trafford this summer. A lot, in and out. And, that again, you're starting a new team, you're bringing in new players. Some will work in the positions that he wants them to, some will not. So it's a work in progress.
Let me give you the checkbook. Who are you buying?
How much can I spend?
100?
100 million?
100 more?
Million? Oh, I need a lot
more.
More.
How much do you want?
You're a chairman.
Okay.
150
No,
at least.
listen, I'm not a manager. I've never professed to be knowing anything about buying players. But obviously, you're not going to be able to get the greats, Mess the real great, and then the Ronaldo just so you've got to go outside of that, and then they're going to obviously need some sort of striker, a proper goal scorer up there to back up Wayne Rooney. Van Persie looks like he might be on the way out. Falcao's gone, so they need at least 1, possibly 2 strikers. So there's been talk of Harry Kane, hasn't there? But who knows who they're going to go for?
Do you think Harry Kane will be ready for United?
I don't know. I like him. I like what I've seen. I've been mightily impressed. We will only really know when he has a bit of a bad spell and whether he can cope. And season 2 tends to answer a lot of questions. I rather think he's got it. I think I like what I see. So, but I'm not 100% sure. 'Cause none of us are until you actually see him perform at the top level.
And Righty, as a striker, obviously as they attempt and sometimes bring in other strikers, it's what that does to Wayne Rooney's situation, doesn't it? He's kind of ridden it and emerged again with credit eventually, but they've messed him about at times.
Well, I think that Wayne Rooney, I don't think he has to worry about anyone who's coming in, especially now. I think he's been unbelievable again. You know what I mean? He's come through, and like I said, I remember we said it the other day, Rob. He's been since he was 16. He's been at that high level for the whole time of his career, and he's seen them all come. When Ronaldo had that great season before he left, he played second fiddle to him. Next season, he scored 30-odd goals, got back on with it. He's somebody that they do need to find somebody just to help him. He's always going to be the number one for me.
You might disagree. Why has Rooney never got onto that level with Messi and Ronaldo?
Because he's not quite that good.
He's not as good as them.
I mean, he's great.
But at the time, him and Ronaldo,
they're like geniuses, aren't they?
It's
But
hard.
he's still been a world-class footballer for a long time.
Yeah.
It's unfair when people say that. Oh, he's not to the level of. So many players ain't to the level of them
in our
two.
time, we were a million miles from Maradona.
Oh, God Almighty!
But we were
it's
all right.
For what Rooney, when people says but he hasn't done, he's done everything as domestically and European, apart from the World Cup and the Europe, he's done it. Why he doesn't get the credit, I cannot understand. It just baffles me. For somebody who's been under pressure right from the off, can't believe it.
He'll thrive on somebody coming in.
He'll be looking forward to that, won't he?
If you brought a Kane in, or even you talk about some of these foreign strikers, he'll thrive off it because he'll raise his performance again. He's that type.
He's really world class now, is he?
I think he is.
If you talk about the rung below the geniuses, I think he's consistently been probably one of the best players in Europe. Consistently. 16 years of age to now at 29. You just wonder how much miles he's got left in the clock because he's been playing for so long.
Well, maybe that's up to him to decide, isn't it? What's left in the heart and in the legs. Now, your brother's been causing trouble again, hasn't he? At the other end of the East Lancs Road, he's been having he likes nothing more than a pop, doesn't he?
I'm not going there.
At the folks from Wayne Rooney's neck of the woods, not the Blues, but the Reds.
Ouch. Wow.
Liverpool in danger, he said, of becoming
he was
a
misquoted
provincial
by Breed,
club.
I think.
Was he? Is it Breed's fault?
Yeah.
I think he probably meant that, Phil, didn't he? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've not won the league for a long time, have they? So, and the way that they're probably conducting the business in terms of re-signing the players and letting Steven Gerrard go, letting Carragher go, maybe not keeping Carragher involved in some capacity. You look at, I worry about their team next year, and I think that's what Gary was saying. You worry about their team next year without those figureheads in. You think to yourself, actually getting into the top 6 for Liverpool next year could be a struggle.
You look at and Sterling. If you want people like that there, it's like when Suarez left. You want to be going to sign for them because of those players. Sterling, as a young up and coming player, he wants to get out of there. So I don't know how they're going to attract the kind of players that Liverpool
should leave Liverpool.
Personally,
yeah.
Well, the way it's been conducted and the way it's gone for him, I can't see how it's going to get any better for him. Even if he does go there, gets his head down, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are never going to accept him. I heard Graham Souness say today that it is the best place because the fans do not love him anymore. No. And I think that if he does want to come back down to London, I'm sure that even Man United, I know that would be an unbelievable move for him to do. It'd make me laugh. But the fact is, him going to Man United would be a nightmare. But come back to London, why not?
Would he play consistently in a City, Arsenal or United?
Well, what do you say? So
if
he's going to play on the right,
what? Would he get an Arsenal side?
Yeah, I think he could get an Arsenal
side.
side.
Ahead of who?
Well, it depends if they're going to play on the right.
Okay, say the team that played Saturday.
So if you play his team on Saturday, I would put him.
Where Ramsey played.
Yeah, I could put easy.
Right. Instead of Ramsey.
You could put him instead of Ramsey.
Ramsey can play elsewhere, can't he? Ramsey can
Okay,
play.
who would you leave out there? Okay, Sterling. You're going to sign Sterling.
And the same with City.
Who are you going to leave out?
Well, yeah, but I think we'd all sign him, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
If he signed for Man United, I'd be the happiest.
Yes, I think he would.
Instead of who for Arsenal?
Well, I think that he could most probably give Cazorla a run. He could give Ramsey a run, and he could give Phil Walcott a run. That's what you want. You want that kind of calibre of player in the team So then they would have to raise their game as well. What do you think? That any of them players seeing him come are going to think, it's all right, I'll keep him out.
But imagine Liverpool without him next season.
I'm telling you.
You know what? Yes, he's been their main halt this season, Sterling, for much of the season.
Second
You
half
take
of
him
the
out of
season,
Liverpool,
sure.
yeah, but he's played every game. He's been their only hope. Sturridge has been out injured. If you take him out, you can't rely on Sturridge to play every game because his injury record suggests that. So that's what I'm saying. Liverpool can't afford to lose him. Can't afford, or else
Got 2 years left, didn't he?
Yeah.
But
It might be beyond.
clubs don't play hardball in this situation. They don't find that they're able to, do they, for very long? If the player wants to go now,
I suppose in most walks of life, if you want to go and work for someone else, there tends to be a degree of freedom in that. I don't see why it should necessarily be any different in football.
which perhaps leaves the boss, does it?
What do you mean?
Under pressure?
Well, I think he is under pressure. I think that under Suarez in the way it went, I couldn't believe that they, with the so-called great coach that he's supposed to be and everybody who's around, they didn't work on defence. I remember at Arsenal, we worked on defence all the time to the point where I hated going to training because all we'd done was worked on defending as a team all the time. Liverpool would have won the Premier League by a margin if they defended as a team better and just let them lot get on with it. I couldn't believe it. So for somebody who's meant to be as good as Brendan Rodgers is, why didn't he recognise that? And why didn't he do that? And off of the back of that, then obviously Suarez is gone, and this season they were poor. Next season,
It's not fault Suarez went though. It's not Brendan Rodgers' fault Suarez went, is it?
it's not a case of his fault that he's gone, but the fact is he is gone, and they don't look. They've not got any better. They're nowhere near it. They're nowhere near it. He was going to go at some stage.
You get all that money for Suarez, and you bring in. You either go for Costa and Fabregas, or he signed 8 players instead, and the 8 players have actually been really poor, haven't they? You know, his recruitment's been poor.
It's just not his recruitment, though, is it? It's the 6 people that recruit. So it's not. He hasn't got the final. Well, I don't know if he's got the final say, but
Interesting thing that, isn't it? It's
It's-
how much
yeah.
influence the manager
Correct.
has on who comes into the club. If they were all his purchases, the ones that he wanted, then he deserves some criticism because they've not been very good. But if it's actually a bunch of others going, no, this is the ones we want, then how can you then blame the coach?
yeah.
But unless you actually know, it's hard. It's hard.
I think it's a massive summer for the acquisitions committee and Brendan Rodgers. If they could have a poor start next year, I think he could be in trouble.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't now say the same thing about your old gaffer, Arsene Wenger. Another trophy after the barren years. Another FA Cup, a record FA Cup win.
Well, you just got to take what you get.
But how far away are they from, say, Chelsea?
I think everyone in the Premier League are quite far away from Chelsea.
Because Arsenal fans are getting a bit excited now, aren't they?
Of course they're getting excited because that's what they do. They get overexcited, and you sometimes just need them to just calm down a little bit because the FA Cup and last year, fantastic. They needed to do it. You saw how they struggled in that final against Hull, and it was only the quality of the players that Arsenal had that were better than Hull in the end. Why they won that game? You saw the other day against Villa. If they can get it right on the day and start, they can hammer teams. Now they do need to have a different mentality when you start the season. They cannot start the season like they did last time. That's why it depends on who they buy. They need to buy people saying, "Oh, you need world class." You know, Coquelin and Bellerin came out of nowhere and they fitted in really well. You just need to fit some players into Arsenal with the mentality, with a winning mentality. They've got to understand now. Yes, you've got 2 FA Cups and that's brilliant. But it's the Premier League they've got to be going for, and they're not a million miles away. I don't think they are.
A couple of players, aren't they? Really, 2 or
It's one of the
3.
easiest FA Cup runs anybody's ever had to win the cup, though. Only United away.
Only United away. Well, that's quite a tough
Yeah,
game.
not a great United, though, let's be fair.
I think they're getting better. From the team I saw last year to this, from January onwards, I've seen a different mentality, tougher, stronger. It looks like he's working a little bit more defending to me. With Coquelin in there, he's Cazorla for me has been a revelation, him and Coquelin in midfield. So even Ramsey going out to the right has been a really good decision. So they're getting better, and I think they're 2 positions away. Maybe.
Which 2?
Well, say if you put Matic in.
They need a striker.
Yeah, definitely.
Striker.
Got a real goal.
I don't like the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper position, they need someone.
Are people not a bit harsh on Giroud? No? I think
thought he was.
He's all right, but he gives you nothing that way.
Yeah.
And you
But
need
Walcott
that
does,
threat.
though.
Yeah, Walcott does, but he's not. I'm sorry, he's not.
Righty?
A centre striker.
I'd play
He's a
Walcott
winger.
up there. If Walcott
Righty?
is what you've
Welbeck?
got, I would have Walcott up the top there. Absolutely, because of
Do you
the
think he's a
threat he gives.
striker?
I'd rather him be the striker, simply because.
Gary doesn't think he
Movement,
is.
there's no movement.
Well, this is what I'm saying. He's played too long on the right. I've said that for so long. He should have been playing up the top years ago to learn how to play that position.
They were
and
scared
make
to
his
death
moves.
of him at the weekend.
Absolutely, because you get Ozil breaking that midfield line. and him on the edge, all he needs to focus on is finishing.
He's a good
People
What
finisher.
I would say about the weekend, I actually didn't think he had a brilliant game, but because he stretched the teams, it created more. And like Gary said, you stretch the teams, you create more space for the sensational ball players that Arsenal.
You know what I'm hoping, ideally, what my dream would be for someone like Suarez, 85 million, 90 million, get Suarez.
Good luck.
You know what I mean? Get Suarez, because that's what, if you're talking about, we have to get who else? Who'd you get?
I think Arsenal, unfortunately,
There's no one.
other than Sanchez, if you're a top player, I think you'd go to Chelsea or United before Arsenal, wouldn't you?
I suppose you would, but you look at Sanchez and he's come in. I think that it was Liverpool that came in for him, but I think that you look at him now, you wouldn't say to me any of the rest of those teams wouldn't want him now.
Great player.
You know, fantastic. But you know, in the pecking order, like, of course, you know, you're going to come. You want to go to Mourinho. You want to go to that Chelsea winning mentality, didn't you? Because they've got it. It's all there with Chelsea.
So could Arsenal attract one of those type of players? Could they now?
Would he want Ibrahimovic?
I don't think he would want Ibrahimovic.
There's somebody of that stature. You say that stature, world class, or does he like producing young players? He likes the younger players.
He's changed that philosophy. Phil, simply because he's bought Ozil and he's bought Sanchez, players that he would never have bought a few years ago. So he's actually changed that way of thinking. And if somebody comes available, you know, and he can sell on the club, you have to hope that's what he does. Because if Chelsea come in, you used to say Man United as well, but if Chelsea come in, you've got to be looking to go to Chelsea right now.
Well, and of course, all of that, the idea that the rest of the contenders, Robbie, are trying to catch Chelsea, assume somehow that Chelsea are going to stand still. They're probably not going to stand still, are they? They're going to recruit one or two.
Well, I think that's why they won the league. Because look at when City won the league under Mancini, they bought rubbish. Same again when they won they did. Same again this year, bought rubbish. Didn't kick on. They didn't improve the team. Look at United when Phil was there and Fergie, done his business early, won the league the next season. Chelsea, you know, there was a thing about the horse with a small horse this year. He said, wait until next year, which was this year. Yeah. But you had Courtois back, Fabregas, Costa, you know, Matic.
In the window.
What's
Jesus.
Simple. And I think if he buys
and
one or
made
two,
money on Louise and Mata. You know what I mean?
buys one or two again, they'd be
and Lukaku.
Yeah.
Wow.
they'd be the team to catch because City miles behind.
We'll get to them. But
Spurs
Chelsea,
just nowhere near it.
No, Spurs are Spurs.
Spurs are Spurs.
Well,
Everybody
tease
Phil
you.
said that. I didn't
They
say
tease
that.
you, Spurs. That you know, they think you're going to be good, and then they let you down.
So how did Chelsea get stronger still? I know. It's logged.
They do.
We'll come back to
they
it.
do. Spurs started the
back.
season brilliantly. You think this is their season.
No top four.
And then they drop away.
I know they finished fifth, but nowhere near it.
But I like Pochettino. I love him. I do. I love him.
I think only 4 teams can realistically win the Premier League in the next 5 or 10 years. And that's Arsenal, Chelsea, United, City.
Any
Liverpool,
disagreements?
Spurs, no.
No, you can't really disagree with that.
Can't
because
say
they-
that.
Yeah, they've got a clout in it.
How, given the seeming relaxation of the FFP, the financial fair play rules this summer, how big a summer might Man City want to make this? How strong might they go?
I think largely they've ignored it anyway. So I don't suppose it will make any difference, but I think they probably recognise they need to freshen that side up, certainly with a little bit of pace and a little bit of youth. And they were off. I agree with, was it you said that tactically they weren't very good in the big games this season. You know, they used playing that 2 wide, 2 up, just 2 in the middle.
Is that his fault? Is that Pellegrini's fault?
Well, I thought so. I mean, he said that's the only way you can play against Barcelona, and actually they were humiliated. And I thought it was tactically that's the one thing you can't do against. You've got to fill the middle.
Wide, Torre,
Well,
and
exactly.
Fernandinho. So 3 of them want to go forward.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, like, occasionally I think they've been, well, more than occasionally, a little bit naive tactically. I agree with Philip, but you know, they've got a lot of good players there, but I think they definitely need a good freshener.
I look at City and I think you take Aguero, Silva, and Torre out, and I think they're very ordinary. You know, I think Vincent Kompany, either he's injured or something's happened, but he just looks so far away from the centre half that I thought he was going to be. And then Mangala's a signing. You look at them, Clichy, Zabaletta's fantastic, but you know what I'm saying? You think to yourself, take them 3 out. They're a very ordinary.
Maybe the goalkeeper,
squad.
would you say?
The goalkeeper was
Had a good
fantastic.
season.
I think he's had a good
they're all
season.
complacent, mate.
Yeah,
Because I don't think they're getting challenged. I think They brought Caballero in, the keeper, challenged Joe Hart. But apart from that, I think Yaya, I think Vincent Kompany, I think these top players need challenge. We talked about Wayne Rooney. I think they need a kick up the backside sometimes. They need challenging. They need better players around them. And I think at City, I agree with Robert. I think the signings haven't challenged.
Yeah, Robert.
Gary calls me Philip. So
Only because you asked me to at the start of the season.
I think the big players need challenging. I think at City, they've not been challenged.
Fair Phil.
What do you want?
Fizzer, Phil, Philip.
I like Fizz. Fizz.
It's not a name. So does that mean City don't challenge, given how much there is to do, and that presumably they're in a holding position with Pellegrini?
I agree with Wrighty. You look at the spine of the team when they won the league. Joe Hart, Kompany, Torre, Aguero. 2 of them haven't performed this year. Arguably Torre in the big games, he just looks lazy at times, and Kompany. So that's the spine of the team. Half has not performed, and I think around that, Nasri, Silva, I agree. I think they need to buy big and a bit more youth in the team.
I'd love to see Man City promote 3 or 4 from the youth academy, because they've got a great academy there.
But it's about here and now, though, because
but I want to see youth in their team. I want to see excitement. I think that's what their teams lack this year.
They haven't introduced them slowly into a team that's doing well. So you bring those, you introduce
they haven't introduced any.
That's what I'm saying.
Richards
So they're going to come straight in under pressure.
Enough, though,
Yeah, you can, but I just think it needs freshening up.
Don't know how they're
Just
gonna
my
do
opinion, Matt. Just my opinion.
Matthew.
Nice one.
Matthew.
Thank you, Robert. I'm going to bring in our Spurs correspondent now to argue, perhaps, with those serious allegations that were made against. Where would Tottenham be without him this season?
Well, they'd have struggled, but most sides, if you take away your big goal scorer, they would struggle. I mean, that goes without saying. But it's Tottenham.
Touché.
They play some good football. He's not quite got it right yet. There's no question about that. But hopefully the Europa League kills you as well. I'm sorry, but it does. There's no question about that. I mean, every team that goes in the Europa League struggle when they're in it. Look at Everton this season; so much worse than the season before.
I disagree.
Why?
I played in it.
I do.
I played in it. I played Thursday, Sunday.
I didn't realise you played it that high.
Gareth, go on, Gareth. 1-0. I disagree. What's the difference? Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday, Sunday.
Hang on, there is a difference.
That's days of the week.
Because half of those games are Tuesday, Saturday.
Okay, but Wednesday, Saturday might be different. Wednesday, Saturday does happen. Premier League players.
Europa League, more matches. More trips to Eastern Europe. Most of the sides are in Eastern Europe. You get loads of those long travelling trips.
They get first class travel, they sleep on the way home.
It's tiring.
It's tiring.
Squads
can't cope with it because they're not the teams with massive squads.
Spurs had spent 100 million the previous year, and all their players.
They all think the same thing. They all think, we can win this. So they play the strongest team every time at following Saturday.
But they could win it, couldn't they? Surely.
The argument against that is the team that won it this year. Sevilla on a smaller budget than any Premier League club.
They don't play the amount of football we play.
They played 60 games this year.
Yeah, but they don't play the same.
You
watch Spanish football? It's like boom, boom.
So what we're saying, a Premier League player can't play Thursday, Sunday at high intensity.
What frustrates me is you work for 9 months, the hardest you've ever worked. You qualify for the Europa League, and the year after, some team just.
There's a stat, but not just in English football. I think it's something over 90% of the teams that qualify for the Europa League, the season they're in the Europa League, perform much worse than the season when they weren't in it.
You know the thing as well with Spurs, I think with Pochettino,
might be true of the Champions League
the way Pochettino played at Southampton, they pressed high and they worked really hard. I think Spurs just, with their squad not as being as deep and as strong as it, their legs just went. They were totally, absolutely knackered.
Look at their subs, Paulinho.
It wasn't his squad, I don't think.
Soldado, Lamela. They got a big squad.
Soldado and Adebayor, you can't press with these people. And I think this is a big summer, but I think he'll get out all the stuck people that can't play his way.
It's quite important. Apparently, he's the one who's going to decide. They made that public. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That Pochettino's going to get the say rather than
Baldini.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it's
that's good.
I just think it's an excuse. Players Thursday, Premier League players can't play Thursday, Sunday.
Well, and also, if all 4 of you believe that the top 4 are likely to be the top 4 for the next few seasons, the best possibility of a Champions League place for Liverpool, Tottenham, Everton, etc., is the Europa League. So take it seriously.
It's difficult.
You can get in the Champions League now. Sevilla just qualify for the Champions League.
Can you imagine you'd play all those games in the in the Europa League just to try and qualify for the Champions League.
But
you don't get in straight away, do you? You have to play
for Tottenham, it's their probably biggest way of getting into Champions League football.
Yeah.
Maybe for Liverpool next year. Maybe for
never
Southampton.
English clubs, and Fulham got to the final, but we don't tend to do very well in that competition.
No.
I love the competition. I agree with Robert.
Europa League?
Yeah, I loved it.
Me too. We lost 1 game out of 8. Beat Arsenal on the Thursday, Sunday. Beat Arsenal. Beat City. And we lost 1 out of 8 Thursday, Sunday.
It's a debate.
And then went down.
It's a debate that
I
could.
think it's an excuse. It's an excuse, and players love it, and managers love excuses.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Robert.
but they've got all the data saying that they're tired. You know what I mean? It's easy for people to just jump on and say, can I be tired of Premier League? The data. They're in the red zones. That's what's happening now. That's what's happening now, man.
Come on, Wrighty.
Red
zones.
I've seen the red zones.
You live in the red zone.
I live in the red zone, baby.
Most days. The debate will continue, of course. It's high time now we got a few of your questions on the show. Now then, for the past 48 hours or so, you've been loyally sending the questions in for the guys, so let's go through as many as we can. Quick fire if we can. James Payne says, which one player should the top 4 try to bring in this summer? You could pick one and make it realistic if you can. Obviously not Messi.
All around the world, you mean?
Yeah.
Anywhere? Okay.
Who's the one player you might say
Bale.
could be
Bale
Bale?
United.
Bale.
Bale United.
Bale to Chelsea.
Bale to Leicester.
Good point. Peter Anderson, what do Newcastle need to do to get back challenging? Could Vieira be the answer?
I hope so.
Challenging.
I'm gutted that he's going there, to be honest.
I don't know what he
Arsenal
means
legend,
challenging for.
Mid-table.
Well, the fact that their chairman's come out and said, that's it, I'm here to win something, I'm going to do it. He seems like he's got some intent there. So if that's the case, you have to say that Newcastle might have a good chance to do something.
Turn a corner?
They need a
team.
A team. Yeah, they probably need 5, 6, 7 players, I think, from the team that I saw last year. They obviously need a new manager. It doesn't look like John Carver's going to stay. I was actually quite impressed with what Mike Ashley said, actually. I hope he just backs his words up with actions now.
Yeah. Don Evans, can you still classify the Premier League as the best?
I do.
I think in depth, I think if you look at our teams again, look at Leicester, you know,
exactly.
6 weeks ago they're down, then they went on that run. I don't think in any of the league a team could do that with the intensity of the league it is. That's why I think the whole league, the 20 teams, now you could say that the bottom club on any given day.
Spanish league's the best league.
You think?
As might be, as is the most competitive and possibly as entertaining.
That's what I'd go for.
But come on, the Spanish.
No,
the success rate in the Champions League is phenomenal. The success rate in the Europa League, a competition we get nowhere near, because everyone says, there's only 2 teams.
Yeah.
Every year they win the Europa League almost.
I just don't think a bottom half team or a mid-table team like Stoke
but they can
could
all
beat one of the top teams like 6. I think the strength and depth of our league, Real Madrid, Barca better. Seville won but if you're looking at Leicester, they battered United 5-3. I can't see anybody battering Real Madrid or Barca.
No, that doesn't happen because they all play the same way. They all play the same way, and the big teams are much better at it. Whereas here, you get a bit of that, and you get the teams that are a bit more. They'll play really play defensively. No one does that in Spain. They all play the same way because that's the way they believe football should be played. Therefore, the teams that are better invariably win, and they won't play that defensive way. It's not in their makeup.
Ian, Josh Taylor asks, can you see in Theo Walcott a bit of Thierry Henry?
No.
Thank you, Ian. No, not at all.
No, I think they're totally 2 different players. Thierry's unbelievable specimen, and everything about him. Fantastic, phenomenal football. Theo is a very, very quick, very athletic, very left-footed kind of quick player. He's not the same kind of player. But for me, if he was moved maybe 6, 7 years ago and taught how to be a striker straight up the top there, I think he could have been an amazing striker.
Alex Sams asks, what factor, Phil, is more important for success, squad coherence or individual talent?
Well, you need talent, because Liverpool wouldn't have finished second last year without individual talent in Suarez, but there definitely needs to be a cohesion in the squad. You see it with Real Madrid now. They look a team of individuals, and they look like a team that don't play together. Where Barcelona,
they're not brought together like Messi brings Barcelona together. Ronaldo keeps them separate because he celebrates on his own.
Well, you see Barcelona's front three, even though they're great individuals, they do tend to work together. They square the passes, and I prefer a team that plays together with maybe one or two great individuals and a team of maybe Galacticos, really.
Here's a good one from Paul Scholl. Rob, if you could make a 5-a-side team out of current Premier League players, who gets in it?
Wow.
5-a-side.
Why do you pick one each?
So,
Who's yours?
goalkeeper, De Gea. This year.
Just right now.
Well, not ever.
While you can, before he
John,
goes.
I'll put John Terry.
Is it this season?
Yeah.
De Gea.
I'll go
John Terry in the 5-a-side team?
Yeah, I'll put John Terry at the back in the 5-a-side team, yeah.
Okay.
Hazard.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Sanchez.
Fabregas.
That's 5.
That's 5, yeah.
I'll do it.
Done. It's not a bad team.
Yeah.
It's all right.
There's goals in
Yeah?
there.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Adam Clark, who's your favourite player that you've played with?
I played half a game with Maradona.
Yeah.
But that is a gap.
Pick that name up.
That's how old I am.
He's turned off after the Messi stuff, to be honest.
But to be perfectly honest, no, picking someone that you seriously played with a
Yeah.
lot. I played with some great players, Brian Robson, Glenn Hoddle, people like that. But I would probably go, for selfish reasons, one Peter Beardsley.
Yes.
Okay.
It was just so good to, just
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bergkamp.
I thought you were going to say Gazza then, but you're going Beardo.
No, Gazza was an unbelievable player,
Yeah.
but he used to drive me mad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was so good that he'd only give it you if you knew you had no choice but to give it you straight back. He was,
Sign of a good player.
but he could play.
Righty?
Oh, he could play.
Bergkamp, man, it was
Dennis?
amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I remember when he signed for the club, I literally could not wait to get to training. It was like first day of school stuff, and he weren't disappointing. He was so professional. It was amazing, like what Cant and I done at your gaff.
That handshake at Leicester, Righty.
I know.
Bergkamp.
Jesus, it was amazing. But like he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Everything about him.
Phil?
Ronaldo. I saw Ronaldo at the start, so you see what effort, used to...
Is it true that story about the players telling the manager on the plane home?
Yeah, Sporting Lisbon, he ripped John O'Shea.
He's the best player ever to play in the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
our
good.
training ground
Where
was
he's
probably
reached.
a mile around the training ground. He used to, every day, just jog around it doing his skills, look at DVDs, come in, perfect it. I mean, and he was young at the time. It's sensational. The best it's ever been.
Tony Naylor crew.
He'll be pleased with that, I would have thought.
Great lad.
Yeah.
But I've got to go 2 guy. Blackburn.
Oh, yeah.
Sensational.
You can only have one.
Yeah, I've got 2 guy. No, because 2 guy was my midfield partner, really. He was brilliant.
He loves that.
2 guy.
Are you the
I'd
best
done his
player
running
he
for him.
Nice one.
I'd done his running for him. 2 guys, sensational.
Yeah.
I did his running.
Nice.
Gabby asks, should Gareth Bale come home?
Yes.
Yes.
No, not for me.
Depends on his circumstances, and his body language is not great at the moment. He looks a little bit
So unhappy.
nervous, and things are not quite happening for him on the pitch. But he's at Real Madrid, and it's wherever you go from there, it's a backward step. So
The noises at the moment are that he wants to stay, aren't
if
they?
he wants to stay and stick it out, I admire
luck to him, yeah.
He's a great player, and you've got to remember at the moment he's playing in that side, and he had a fabulous first season.
Yeah.
Things have not really gone for him
No.
this season. The crowd got on his back a little bit. That affects your confidence. But you can turn that round. And also, don't forget, he's playing out of position, really, because he plays where Ronaldo plays.
Yes.
That's his best position. So, things can change in time. But it'd be great to have him back in the
I'd
Premier
love
League on a
to
selfish
see him back.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him back.
But
I want him
how
to be
he
a
was.
success. I
Yeah.
don't want him to come back now, because his first season was great, not so good this season. So it still scored
Great
17
talent,
goals.
great
And
talent.
I want him to do well again. I want him to set the place alight. I think he needs to toughen up a little bit. It's tough out there, and this is a great learning curve for him.
You want to see the Gareth Bale plays for Wales now? They got Belgium doing the 12th. When he plays for Wales, he is sensational.
You say toughen up, Phil. I don't know what more he can do. He's got. You
I think
see
he's got to
Suarez.
take
The way
Ronaldo on.
Suarez was,
I think he's got to
good.
take
Yeah,
him
good
on.
luck in that dressing room.
No,
you know
but,
what I mean?
but sometimes, Righty, I think you see Ronaldo's, but I think you've got to take him. He's
Who took Ronaldo on the United dress? Anybody?
Well, no need to, because he was young.
Right.
He was young. He was a baby.
It's
So
a different kind of scenario. If he takes Ronaldo on in that dressing room, that gets out into the papers and everything, they're going to say that
I would say
it's
take
not
him
going
on.
to work out
You know
for
the
him.
passes where he missed and Ronaldo. I think he's got to score and say, "I'm the man. I'm the man now." Ronaldo's up there. I want his pedestal. I want him to.
Might
kick on.
Benitez be a help or not, do you think, coming in as manager to Bale's situation?
The only way that Bale's going to do okay is when Ronaldo accepts him as his teammate and he's equal to help him.
Or
Like
leaves.
how Messi helped Suarez when Suarez came in after the amount of months he was out. You could see them literally feeding him the ball, trying to get his confidence going. If they get Bale going, He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And they've just not helped him enough for me, the dressing room. Chelsea's dressing room would be brilliant for him.
There's a particular question here for you, Rob, from Adam Virgo. Does Robbie still need ID to get into nightclubs in Brighton?
No, he does need socks.
I went there for a month on loan, and I was refused entry, unbelievably, because I'm one of the most famous men in Britain.
Oh, it wasn't on age grounds.
One
No.
of the most recognisable faces.
Yeah, incredible.
Did you say, Rob, are you winding me up?
I looked at him.
Do you know who I am?
You got to do that. You know I am.
Okay.
So it's true.
Cheers, Alan, for that.
Thank you very much for the questions so far. We will, of course, attempt to get more in, but the debate needs to rage a little further before the light dies. So let's crack on, shall we? And from the travails of some clubs and the success of others to the national game, England, where are they at? One question, actually, interestingly, from Joe. How do we fix the English national team? I'm not sure what he's getting at. Does it need fixing?
Well, it's needed fixing, and I think we're on the way to fixing it in the sense it's all about producing young talent and youth development. I think the youth development's improved significantly over the last few years, and I think you can tell that by the performances of the under-21s down to the under-17s, much more successful overall in Europe, playing a kind of football that's competitive in terms of the technical side of the game, which we've always been a little bit behind. So we've made significant changes. I mean, listen, it's only 3 or 4 years ago that we decided that 7-year-olds should play on small pitches and not normal size ones. If you've got loads of little kids and you're playing on a huge pitch, the only way you can get to the other end is just by booting it as far as you can. So therefore you put the big lads at the back, they become the players that all... It's a nonsense, but thankfully those things have changed thanks to a lot of work from Trevor Brooking, who banged his head against a brick wall for about 10 years at the FA, but finally got things changed, and we will see that come through. We're already seeing a glimmer of it into the national side, but a lot of young players have promise, and hopefully they'll develop through. And the more players we produce and the better we teach them, the more players that will go through into the actual first team squads of the Premier League, and therefore that's what you need. You need more players playing, and I think the future's brighter. It's a bit of a way off yet, but I think we're much more promising now for the next few. I think we'll start to compete again in the tournaments to come.
Yeah.
Next summer too soon, Ian?
Maybe for me, but like I just want. I think with this group that we've been in, it's so easy. I would like to have seen more people play regularly, people that we need to look at. I'd like to have, just give someone, even the Berrahinos and Harry Kanes earlier, Stones, get him in there more regularly. I know he might have had an injury and stuff, but I go more on the side of, once you get there, is the confidence to just play well while you're there. I'm very optimistic about England all the time. I know we're quite far away because we need that striker who's going to get the 5 or 6 in a tournament, Gary Lineker-esque kind of vibe. Gary Lineker-esque.
Sound like a perfect combination of Emile and Gary.
Yeah, but I kind of got that one wrong. But the fact, what I'm saying is, we just need to get one of those players who's confident enough to do it, and a little bit of luck some of the times. I'm always a little bit wary about our 2 centre-halves because they frighten me a little bit. And the right-back situation, I thought Nathaniel Klein came in and done pretty well for a while, but I saw him play, I think it was the last Wembley game, and it was a little bit worrying when he was going forward and he was losing it and his distribution wasn't as great. But you pick people to pieces sometimes, and you just want people to get confidence when they get into the squad. But we are a little bit away, but I just love watching England. I just want us to do well because I like it, how everybody is when we do well.
In the right hands, would you say, in Roy Hodgson? Phil, I know he's got obviously some problems with his coaching staff.
He's got good coaches, yeah. No, I think we're heading in the right direction. I think Roy, his plan is to keep blooding these young players. I'm excited by the young players that are coming through. The 17s, 18s are a good age group, so maybe this tournament might be too soon for them, but going to the Russia World Cup, I think will be good. I think the problem for me is I was at the FA Cup final on Saturday. Wilshere sub, Gibbs sub, Welbeck didn't play. So we still need our best young players to be playing more regularly for the top team.
Roy Hodgson's the right man?
For the minute, I think he is the right man. I think the plan that he's
got. They've been so poor in tournaments. And when is picks for player of the year? When is picks?
Rooney was the only world-class player in his prime that we had.
Yeah, he should be having more than that. And when is 3 picks of the Ballon d'Or, 3 defensive-minded players? Come on.
Well, they were bizarre picks. I must agree with you on that.
But Stones is going to be a real top player. Barkley, Wilshere I think is a real good player. Berahino, Kane. All of a sudden, Shaw, you get excited. You get excited.
But still, we still need. You mentioned those players, and you mentioned the 20s, 17s. We still need those players to get through into the first team.
First team, that's the key.
To play. This is the problem we've got. To get those players who are showing great promise at international level at those
Chelsea have
ages.
got some of the best young players, and I can't see how they're going to get into that first team. The Loftus-Cheeks, I think, is going to be a good player. Yes, Solanke, Kiwomya, Izzy Brown, and I think to myself, wow, that could be Chelsea's team for the next 10 years. But will they play enough football for them to get into the England team? I'm not so sure.
What about Wales?
Brilliant.
They could be in France next year.
Got a great chance of qualifying. No
Big
doubt
game,
about
isn't it, against Belgium?
Belgium, yeah. I was at the game in Belgium. They performed well. I think very reliant upon Bale, though. If Bale gets injured, I don't think they'll qualify. That's how important he is to him. He lifts everybody, lifts the crowd, lifts the team. You can see when he's on the pitch. He's like 2 or 3 players. Yeah. And I think if they can get a result against Cyprus away is the key game for Wales. Right. They don't have a good record there. If they can go to Cyprus and win, I think they'll beat Israel at home. I think they'll get something against Belgium, really do. I think Chris Coleman's done a great job. Considering the circumstances, he took the job, with the death of Gary Speed, and it's taken him a while to get his own team, because out of respect for Gary. Yeah. So I think what he's done is brilliant, and he's got Ramsey, Bale. Joe Allen does well for Wales. Just missing that centre forward. Yeah. That's the only thing. Yeah. Do you play Bale there? Got a good captain, Ashley Williams at the back. Got a lot of Premier League players, so I think he's done a great job. And part of the excitement for next summer is that possibly Wales, certainly you would think England, but Scotland, Republic, even Northern Ireland are all still in the mix because of the expanded format. Could be a heck of a summer.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? To have a few of the home international sides in there.
One to look forward to. It would. Hopefully it will be. Let's finish then with some views on how next season might actually look come this point next year, as we perhaps are on the eve of the Euros. Who wins the Premier League, Ian?
I'll go with Chelsea.
Can't see past them?
Not at the moment, no. And I know that he'll sign a couple of decent players as well, so everybody's always going to be trying to catch them up for me.
Too far ahead for now?
Yeah, I think so.
As we sit here, Phil?
Yeah, I can't look beyond Chelsea. I think, I'd love to say Man United, but at the moment, I think it's still too big a gap. I think maybe third, second. Man City have to spend, or they have to do something to challenge. I want a team to challenge Chelsea this year. People said Chelsea were boring this year. I actually don't think they were boring. I think actually the teams below let the league down because they didn't challenge them.
They were dull in the big games, no question. They were dull.
They didn't need to do.
They didn't need to be
They were
exciting.
dull. You wouldn't
they
pay.
Didn't need to be exciting.
You wouldn't have paid to watch them against Arsenal, would you?
I was disappointed in the challenge this year rather than Chelsea.
I think if Arsenal bought just a couple, if they got a couple of the right buys, they could be the closest challengers. But at the moment, you would go everyone. Who wouldn't go Chelsea? They're so far ahead, weren't they?
And if you had to pick a surprise team next year,
judging by the last 2 months of the season, if Leicester don't get at least Europa League,
I threw that one. I knew where you were going there. Threw your header at the far post, didn't I?
There's a limit in there though, because 7th down. Who's going to bring to that top 6?
It's a different
level. No surprise. Stoke finished 9th 2 years.
I was going to say Stoke.
But they can finish, if they finish 7th, that's all they can go up 2 places. Yeah. I mean, because he's done a great job, Spark. And he spent 3 million. Swansea, where can they go?
They've almost won their league with where they finished. You think, can they get better? Can they get better? No, they've just got to maintain really what they've got.
Which is hard for a Stoke, Swansea, these Southampton obviously who've had a great season.
The worry would be for Sparky, Mark Hughes and Gary Monk, because if they're 16th, midway through the season, people think, oh my, what? Could be sacked. I mean, because they've set the benchmark so high. Yeah. That's the worry when you do so well at a club like that. If you're 16th, 17th, near Christmas, people start to worry.
Right, let's finish with a thought from each. Given where we started and where we finished, do you remain hopeful about the great game?
Oh, the game's in, the actual game itself is in good shape. It's just the running of the game that's deplorable.
Yeah, I can't really add to that. It's quite embarrassing what is happening, but hopefully that'll be sorted out. But the game, man. It's a gift, mate.
Never stop loving it.
The Premier League's in brilliant shape compared to you watch Italy now. I mean, that league's gone, and our league's getting stronger and stronger, more worldwide. It's a global game. It's exciting. I don't think there's a better place to play your football, really.
Rob,
best game in the world. Always will be. Simple. Matthew?
I do like golf though, Rob.
Oh,
Golf
dear.
will run it close. The Ryder Cup is still the greatest competition ever.
We'll do golf next week, Ian. Thank you very much, Gary, Ian, Phil, and Robbie. Thank you all for your contributions tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't already, you can download the app from the App Store or from Google Play, or you can go to breedsport.com for more information. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon.